This is exactly how the private school system is ruining your child's IGCSE potential. And no, it's not because the school doesn't have enough facilities, it's not because you haven't paid for extra tuition, and it's not because your child is lazy. I know this because I studied in a private school my entire life. And when I started scoring 2s in my subjects, I was told by the school to drop certain subjects and reconsider my future. But within the span of 12 months, I went from scoring 2s to 8s and 9s in IGCSEs and even got 5 recommendation letters because of that transformation. But how did I actually manage to pull that off? By the end of this video, you will understand everything wrong with the private school system and how it is currently affecting your child, alongside the step-by-step process to take in order for your child to score 8s and 9s in IGCSEs. But before I get into the whole system, we need to understand why private schools fall short in the first place. So for today's video, we are going to cover the 3 reasons why the private school system is completely broken and how it's currently affecting your child. We will also cover what you can do as a parent to help your child score 8s and 9s in IGCSEs and a secret hack that you can implement today with your child to boost their grades by 30%. This hack will be sprinkled anywhere throughout the video, so keep watching to make sure you catch it. We first need to understand that at the end of the day, all these private schools and international schools are just businesses. They are often owned by private equity firms or large corporations. For example, the North Anglia Education Group, which includes schools such as North Anglia International School Dubai, the British International School Abu Dhabi, and the British International School Kuala Lumpur, was actually sold to a private equity firm for $14.5 billion in 2024. So what's private equity? Private equity is basically when a bunch of rich people come together and buy out a business. In this case, a school, and make changes to increase profits because their primary intention is to sell it later on. At their core, businesses are designed to maximize profits and minimize their cost. In economics, we call this a profit maximizing firm. It's when businesses maximize profits and prioritize profits over individual outcomes. When a school is run as a business, nearly every decision, from the class sizes all the way to the teacher's pay, is driven by a return on investment in mind and the push to increase profits. Now, here's how that looks like in practice. On the outside, you often see these private schools spending money on things that just impress you as the parent. You see world-class facilities, high-tech classrooms, Olympic-sized swimming pools, and even very shiny auditoriums like this. Another popular method used by schools to cut costs is to tell your child to drop a subject as soon as they start struggling in it. Why do schools do this? Because if you actually think about it, it takes way more time and resources to help a student catch up. It's way easier and cheaper for a school to say something like this instead. Hey, I think you should drop the subject and focus on something else. This is exactly what happened to me when I failed in one of my subjects back in IGCSEs. The school actually sent me an email telling me to drop the subject instead of pursuing it further. This was actually quite heartbreaking because I actually love maths, and the school having given up on me made things way worse. Thankfully, I was able to turn things around and score 8s and 9s in my IGCSEs within 12 months, and I was just 1% shy of scoring an A star, which is a grade 9. I know I've mentioned money a lot, but the second reason on why the private school system is flawed is simply because there is absolutely no customization in education whatsoever. Because even if schools have the latest textbooks and the best facilities, the way they teach is a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's extremely outdated. Think about it for a second. If a class consists of 25 to 30 students, how do you actually expect the teacher to give your child the personal attention they actually deserve? Every student learns differently. Some are visual learners, some need more practice, and some simply need way more time. This isn't because schools don't care. Well, it's because giving personalized education is way more expensive than you actually think. To do that, schools will need more teachers, smaller class sizes, tailored system, and constant tracking of your child's progress. And that isn't worth the school's time at all. And in a profit-driven system like most private schools, this is simply not prioritized at all. So instead, schools build a model that's efficient but not effective for every student. They assume all students can keep up if they follow the same routine. And this is where, in a class of 20 students, 10 of them fall behind. And for those 10 who fell behind, their struggle kind of compounds, and this is where they ultimately give up with their academics. And chances of that, your child being amongst the 10, is pretty high. Are you really willing to take that bet? And the worst part is, you will never be informed if this happens. There's no warning system, and trust me, your child will not tell you either. But let's say in an alternate universe, Private schools found a way to personalize education. There's still one underlying problem. No private schools actually teach a child how to study the material. The entire system is built on throwing content to students instead of showing them how to actually master it. It goes like this: finish chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and it's rinse and repeat until the school covers all of the chapters. But your child is never shown how to study that material effectively. That's why so many students can spend hours reading, highlighting, and copying notes and still walk into the exam unprepared. So far, we've seen the truth. Private schools are just businesses, there is no customization in education whatsoever, and they don't actually teach your child how to study content. But here's the good news. All of this is still within your power as a parent. I'm going to share the exact techniques that took me, a failing student, scoring 2s and 3s, to scoring 8s and 9s in IGCSEs within 12 months, alongside 5 recommendation letters that came from my teachers because of this transformation. Firstly, you need to run a diagnostic test for your child. Before anything, you need to know where your child is currently standing per subject. So you can do this by giving them exam papers and supervise them while they do those exam papers. And once they are done, you can often take the mark schemes provided in the website to assess them and get the overall score. There are so many websites that I use during my time, and some of the examples are GCE Guide and ExamMate. These are pretty good resources to take diagnostic test from. Just make sure your child does it under supervision and get the overall score. Doesn't matter what it is, if it's a grade 5, a grade 4, all that's important is the score, so you know how to work forward from there on. Secondly, you need to actually show your child how to study. You need to get them to leverage high-yield study techniques that schools don't teach. Schools just teach content, but your child needs to think out of the box. Now, there are 3 high-leverage study techniques that I'm going to talk about today, and one that you can implement right away. It's active recall, spaced repetition, and by focusing on the weaker subjects first. Now, active recall is the easiest to implement. So what that means is basically your child uses flashcards or any sort of memory technique to try to remember what they learned from the past. This can date from 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months, but it's some form of recalling that occurs in their mind. Anki flashcards are the best for this. It's what I recommend. It's what I use to go from 2s to 8s, and I highly suggest that you implement this with your child. The link for these flashcards and these resources will be in the description down below, so feel free to use them for free of charge. Now, if you are still here with me, I promised a hack that you can implement with your child as soon as today and start seeing 20 to 30% boost in their grades. This hack is actually called the Feynman technique. So this is basically where you get your child to teach you what they learned in school under 5 minutes. So as soon as they come back from school, try to get them to teach you and summarize what they learned for every subject. If they can do it to a point where you can understand what they're talking about, it actually means your child has mastered the subject. If they kind of struggle in putting words together, it means that they don't know enough about that topic or subject. Get them to revise and try again tomorrow with you. This is a technique that you can implement and practice with your child every day. This is not a one-time thing. So the more often you do it, the better it is for your child and the more massive the improvement in your child's grades that you will see. As Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, chances are you don't understand it. This is the same concept that Feynman over here, who was a scientist, is trying to explain. And this, if implemented every day, you can see results in as soon as 2 weeks. I promise you, this is one of the most powerful techniques in the world and it's helped me so well. So I want to help your kids out as well, and they should definitely use this technique. If there's anything you should take away from this video, it's this one thing. Private schools are profit-driven systems and they will do anything to increase profits. And if that means paying less attention to your child, they will take that route. They use a one-size-fits-all system where 10 students out of 25 have a very high likelihood of falling behind, and there's no warning system to let you know. And worst of all, they never actually teach your child how to learn. But this does not mean your child cannot improve. Every student can eventually improve and get better with their academics. So here's a quick recap for you. Start with a diagnostic test, equip them with these high leverage study techniques, and frequently ask them to teach you what they learned from school. I had to figure this out all by myself. Now that you know what I did to go from 2s and 3s to scoring 8s and 9s in IGCSEs, implement these things with your child. And I promise you, if these things are implemented well, you can see a minimum of 20% boost in their grades and you will feel very fulfilled as a parent. Now, I know many of you are busy working parents. You want the best for your child. but deep down you worry. What if all the money you're pouring into school fees and extra tuition isn't enough? You may not have time to sit down with your child and make sure all of these things are properly implemented. If you want me to show you how I can exactly take your child from struggling to confidently walking into the exams and scoring 8s and 9s in IGCSEs, just book a call with me in the link provided below. We'll see if we can help you implement these systems for your child so you will never have to carry that fear of what if they don't ever make it again.